Hi, good evening, and thank you for joining us on day 314 at GGY, Good Governance Yaya. Sorry for running a little late. There was no option for us to start without our very special guest. We have Dr. Harsha de Silva joining us today. Thank you, Harsha, for joining us. I know you're a very busy man. I'm sure you're extremely tired, so we appreciate that you've made time for us.
First of all, I'm sorry I'm late.
No,
It's running a very tight schedule. And that's the reason we got to be running across the district. It's not easy because Colombo's got 1.7 million voters, but Kote's got only 75,000. So because it's the structure of how these electorates have been divided. So some electorates, like for instance, Homagama has 215,000 voters, whereas Colombo West, I think is the smallest, might be about 50,000. Kote is one of the small ones.
And that's where you're based.
So point is, if you are running, in a big electorate, it's easier to sort of collect your manapes, the preferential votes. But if you're at a sort of playing at a national level, then it's not a big deal as otherwise it would have been.
Right.
But Colombo is a very tough district. There's lots of good people running. Every party is put out a reasonably good list. Well, when I say every party.
Well, how much do you think is the threshold for the winning side?
I think to get a seat, you might need about 60,000 or so.
60,000 in Colombo.
Yeah.
Okay. But Colombo is also a district that elected people like Sarat Pirasekar. There have been some Vimal Veeravan. And they got big numbers too.
Yeah, they got like 500,000 or something.
So not always discerning.
I mean,
Big
amount. Yeah. Last time it was Sarat Pirasekar.
They brought Sarat to beat this.
He's his politics I don't want to talk about.
Yeah. We don't need to reflect on him. He's not contesting. He's going to be directing movies or something, right? He's gone back to.
No, that is Bandula.
No, even Sarat Pirasekar, he's producing or directing. I saw a flyer being circulated. So again, thank you, Harsha.
Sure.
And thanks to the team. Let's not go through the whole usual rigmarole. So we'll get straight to you, Harsha.
Yeah.
So let's start with sort of reflecting on the presidential election loss, which I'm sure wasn't easy. Looking back, what are your sort of key frustrations, even with your own party or strategy and the aftermath? I'm sure there has been some reflection, right? What is the postmortem of that election loss?
Well, I mean, more than strategy or the people, I think it was that the electorate was really disgusted with the existing structure, whether it was the UNP, the SLFP, or the port to a SJB. They said they are all useless, right? Better, get rid of these guys and give Anura Kumar an opportunity. Now, I don't agree that for 75 years, people who governed this country did nothing. That's not true. Many good things happened over the years. But because of, I think, the most recent memory of the crisis and the Aragalaya, folks thought, look, this is time for change.
Sorry, go on.
No. So whatever we said, we spoke about the economy, we spoke mainly about the economy. Yeah. But people, I think, said, look, it can wait. We just need to, catch the crooks, bring them to justice, and then we'll worry about the economy, I think. And also what AKD, the narrative was, the reason for the economic crisis was in fact corruption. I don't necessarily believe that to be the case. I think it was, sort of ideological differences, when the countries opened up and sort of joined the global marketplace. Those countries that did that succeeded, and those countries that sort of thought of import substitution and statist policies lost out. So even though the allegation, quote unquote, was that we were too open, the fact was we were very much closed.
Right.
So it was.
Do you feel the SJB misread voter sentiment? Because I remember, did Tom, Dick, and Harry have something to do with it? That's how you sort of characterize some of the people that were coming into the party.
Yeah.
And do you feel like that, in a certain way, cost you because that felt like old politics?
Well, I mean, there were a few things. Yes, I believe that taking bad people in was a bad move. It was a mistake.
Right.
And it happened early on, and we protested, and that caused us trouble internally. A lot of people know. But yes, the moment we started collecting garbage, people said, well, what's the point?
What's the difference? Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah.
So I think,
in fact, we asked you this last time. We asked around the same thing.
Has it happened just before the election also?
yeah.
Just before the election.
Yeah.
Actually, I feel like that one move would have cost votes for certain.
Yeah.
For certain.
Yeah. We took people that had absolutely no credibility. And at least now, going into the general election, I think we have learned a lesson. We have dropped most of them. We haven't given them nominations, except for all Professor GL, who remains on the national list. Most of the others have been dropped out.
Okay. So, in terms of internal dynamics of the party now, going into the general, right after the presidential, you congratulated AKD fairly early, and then that sort of raised criticisms. Was that a critique of the leadership or the party, or is just you felt that was the right time to do it? Do you feel that there was leadership or strategic missteps within the SJB?
Well, it's a tough question to answer, I'll be honest with you. But I did it on my own because I called him at around 2:30 in the morning. I said, Anura, you won, or you are winning.
Yeah.
Because I was at the Royal College counting center, and I knew exactly what was happening. So a lot of people who thought that I jumped the gun didn't know the real figures. I knew, I saw, and I've done this before, and also we ran a research company. We kind of can read data, and so I realized this game was gone.
Right.
I said, well, you're the president, man. I think he was himself a bit surprised.
You said you ran a research company.
AC Nielsen.
Yeah.
Huh?
AC Nielsen.
Nielsen, yeah.
So did you know before the election that it was?
Well, I mean,
Our polling is very bad.
So that's separate. The people who did research did private research for various political parties, and I had nothing to do with it.
Right.
And to be honest with you, we had not seen the research data. Even though I'm a senior member of the party, I was not privy to the research data. And I've been very critical because as a data sort of driven policymaker, myself, I think you need to rely on data. I mean, yes, sort of your years of experience of politics matters, but ultimately to read the people, you need the data. So in my view, we misread, as you said, the sentiment in that there wasn't enough in-depth analysis as to why people were moving towards the JVP, and also it was very much below the radar what they were doing. Pocket meetings, they didn't have the big meetings until much later. And the data that was available to most people was that slots, the IIHS data, which, this guy, Ravi Rananelli kept changing. And he lost credibility as a research person. I lost sort of faith in that because you can't just keep changing the methodology halfway through a project. And he changed it several times. But at the end, he was not that much off,
Yeah.
He was, he at least got the 1, 2, 3 right. So therefore, on the campaign itself, the strategic sort of decisions, I think, was taken without adequate supporting evidence. So unless you are able to scientifically understand any question, it's difficult to get a winning answer. So that's how I see it.
Yeah. So now with the general election, has some course corrections been done on that front? Because SJB as a party has to play to win, right?
Sure.
You want to form a government, not just come in second place.
Absolutely.
And so, which means you have to course correct, right?
So I am not part of any of the campaign, sort of the main campaign team.
Okay.
So I'm not privy to any of that. So I'm just running
your campaign too.
My thing in Colombo. There are other people who make decisions. I'm not part of it.
I'm surprised, you're a very senior member of the party. And with your knowledge, but the knowledge that you have and all that, how is that you're not there in the main...
that I can't answer.
You can't answer that.
You can't.
Harsha, this current, this we were talking about is Ravi Rananelli's this research for the PE. Has he put out something about the GE? I have not seen anything.
No.
Or any other,
I haven't
seen anything yet.
I haven't followed up.
Okay.
Because I don't know. I haven't seen.
They put out some data about confidence in government.
And actually individuals.
Yeah.
That's very clear.
No. I saw it like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was in the top 5. I was in the top 5.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Also AKD was on the Harini.
Confidence in people, sentiment, like confidence in the government.
Like 3, 4 people. Sudashini, myself, one other person.
Right. So clearly, like sort of people still look at you as a leader and all of that. This is a question.
Sajid was there.
He was there.
Yeah.
He was there. So, but clearly there are questions about the direction that the SJB is going. So as you look ahead, there are growing calls for even a shift in leadership. It's let's not sugarcoat it. Do you believe the party needs to rebuild, to gain voter confidence, or some sort of transformation needs to happen? There are also calls for when we unite with the SJB or vice versa or whatever, right after.
UNP to unite
with the SJB. That has been even during the presidential, people were calling.
Do you think something like that will happen or can happen?
Do you feel like that's necessary, or are you ready to step up if the call?
That's not a question that I'm willing to answer at this point.
Yeah.
Right? We are in the middle of a campaign.
Yeah, right. Sorry.
We are a team. Yeah. We have a leader, and we play to win. Sure. Right? This is not the time to sort of bring out those issues. Right. We will discuss those at some point in time in the future. but not now.
Okay, all right.
Harsha, you said you were not part of the election, the main team. Could you tell us who is in that team?
The team for Sri Lanka, the entire campaign, I think it is, it's led by Mr. Anji Madhu Bandara, General Secretary.
Okay.
Those who are on the national list.
National list, right? That's the people on the national list.
Yeah, so Imtiaz Baki Maka, Sujeeva Senasinghe, GL Pires.
Right.
Those are the guys who are actually in the
national stage. So I suppose when they're the ones who will be going
they're the ones who are making they're the ones who are making decisions. Right? So we are to me, what matters to me is that, I'm fighting for the people here. I've been doing this for a long time. I've dedicated my life to this. It's a big thing that I have done, right?
It's quite a sacrifice, really.
It's quite a sacrifice.
Move out of the private sector and into
So
Iran is not on that either. He's also contesting.
He's also contesting.
Not on the national list.
Yeah, so Colombo, like I said, is a tough race.
Yes.
And
Habib Hashim is also contesting.
yeah, but he's from Kegol.
Kegol.
He's contesting in
He's
Kegol.
Kegol, okay, not Colombo.
No. So the thing is, you can't do anything unless you are inside.
Yeah.
Right? Unless you are a member, you lose relevance. Not that you lose relevance, but if you're a member of that parliament, then you have so much more voice, and there's you're an MP and you can do things.
Right. Also, parliamentary privilege gives you a hell of a lot of leeway to speak up.
That's true. And also, you don't necessarily have to be in government. Obviously, our objective is to win. But I've shown this country that you don't have to join the government to do what you have to do. A lot of people ask me, why are you not joining RW, you should be joining RW. I know, not you, but there was social media, lots of people, lots of people were critical. There was a lot of pressure on me. Yeah, so, but I stuck to my guns. I said, no, I am not going to do that. If I did that, I would be in the dustbin of history today. Right? Yeah. But what a lot of people don't know is that I supported this country's recovery in a very big way. A lot of people don't know, like I said, because what the government of RW did was they sort of designed policy, right? But to implement it, you need to have laws to implement policy. So laws can only be made in parliament. That's why we are called lawmakers, right? And then, or amend laws. And a whole bunch of new laws had to come in and old ones amended to deal with the crisis. Now, I did not agree with everything that RW proposed, and I found many faults, and I was critical. But I realized that we needed to go in that direction, right? Because there was no other path out of the hole we had dug ourselves into. So, as the chairman of the Committee on Public Finance, I was able to sort of direct Parliament, both government and opposition, as to what I thought was the way we should travel. And I, even though it was below the radar, no one really saw what we did. I feel very good about, in hindsight, what I did. I feel good about my decision. And just recently, Sarwat Jahan, who was a res rep here at the IMF, she left. And we were chatting on the phone, and she said, Harsha, I think you should write a book. I said, about what? She said, how you guys worked with the government. In a lot of countries, why, when they fall into trouble, they can't get out is because of division. Personal differences. I'm in the opposition, you're in office, we don't want to support you. But we, in this country, what they saw from the outside, were able to sort of unite in a way for the people, which is what outsiders see as a great thing that we did. And I think when history is written, they will say, look, I am not for a moment saying we are out of the mess. Like somebody said, we are on the knife's edge. But we are in a much better place than where we were, right? And that is a collaboration of the executive and the legislature to come to this point.
Right, okay. So I think people can see, the ones who supported the government in good faith, who worked in the national interest. I think people can see that, right? And I think we'd want people like that back in Parliament. When we asked, when I think was it Harini or somebody when she was here, if you don't get a majority and you need to depend on the opposition, what would you do? Like, would you work with parties? They said, no, they're not going to work with parties. They will work with individuals.
Yeah.
And if anybody approached you to work with them in some capacity, would that be something you'd look at?
I mean, it is AKD who said himself that, he wants to stop the culture of people jumping. The frogs, and now we got legal precedent.
Yeah.
Yes, finally,
right?
Yeah.
So with that, I don't think it is possible to sort of pick people and bring them to their side. It's not possible. It won't be. Because the moment you do that, the party will go to court and you will go home. Because like I said, now in Harin's matter, in Manusha's matter, that is now
That's been litigated already.
So that's decided.
Right.
So Harini may have got it wrong on that. They will have to work with parties.
That would have been before this.
That particular
before this
judgment.
court case.
No,
Because
even
Harini
before the
was a long time
judgment,
ago.
it was before the judgment. I mean, it's ideologically, I am also of the opinion that you shouldn't just, pick people and get them to your side.
Right.
I mean, a lot of the time, people shift because they are offered various perks, ministerial posts and things like that. But people don't vote for, candidates hoping that they will jump. If they want people on the other side, they might have voted for people on the other side.
Yeah, correct.
You see?
Yeah.
So I resisted earlier calls.
Right.
And I will resist these calls also if I do get, but if they have confidence in people like myself, I will always be able to help them. I don't need to be in government.
That is true.
Yeah.
But of course, we are fighting to win.
Right, exactly.
Don't forget that.
No, absolutely. I mean, there's an entire election ahead. So, okay, let's move on from the SJB and reflecting on the last election. So we have a new president in place. We have a government in place, and now we have a sort of like a track record. It's been like a month and a bit. There are certain decisions that you've also been critical of, like for example, the issuance of the treasury bills. Being critical of that.
No, I wasn't actually critical. I explained to the people when people were critical.
That's a normal process.
Yeah, what I said is that's normal process. What I was critical was about how these people misled the country by saying you don't need to do this. When people like myself said, well, this has to continue every Wednesday, you have an auction. And the only way you can reduce the amount that you borrow in that auction is you run a surplus in your primary balance. So in order to do that, you got to make more than you spend. And in order to do that, you're going to have to, increase your revenues and reduce your expenditure, right? So what the previous government did with increasing the tax rates, etc., they have been able to overperform they beat the targets. So to hit the 15% of GDP in revenue, they were getting there. And also, with the various privatizations of, for example, Sri Lanka, they were trying to reduce expenditure with the loss-making enterprises. Now, if that is reversed, then obviously the challenge for the government becomes even greater, and the need to borrow will become bigger. I mean, if you don't have a surplus, or if the surplus becomes smaller, then the need to borrow becomes bigger. But what they said before the election was, well, I mean, this old system has failed, we have a new system change, etc. But I said, look, this is pie in the sky, you're not going to be able to change that.
Right. I mean, I think rhetoric is one thing, but governing is something completely different.
Yeah. So when people was critical of, this 485 billion rupees borrowed in the last 3 weeks or whatever,
right.
I said, it's no point being critical because this is the reality. That's what I was saying.
Right. Okay. So, but do you feel what you're seeing, the signals you're getting from this government is moving in the right direction? Because I think even on the IMF, there was some criticism in terms of what they have done, right? Like
In the IMF, we had a debate, and that debate was whether you can change the DSA or not.
Yeah.
The DSA is the debt sustainability, and that is the foundation of the building if you think about it that way. And you can change rooms inside a building, that you don't need to remove the entire house. But if you're going to change the foundation, right, then the whole house will have to be removed brick by brick.
Right. NPP said they're going to do their own analysis.
Yes, which I said is all nonsense. It's pure bunkum, right? And everyone, people who are supporting them, academics, candidates, the presidential candidate, prime ministerial candidate, they all said they're going to do it. And, and I said, no, it's all nonsense. You cannot do it. Right? And now they're not doing it. You can't do it. So either they were completely ignorant of, what they were saying, or they knew what they were saying and took people on a nice, jolly ride. So I don't know which one, but that is the reality. Right? So I was very critical, I'm willing to give them, credit when credit is due.
Yeah.
But I will be critical when I see that, they were just not being honest to themselves and to the rest of us.
But I remember the last meetings they had, they said they'll try, but otherwise they will continue with the IMF program.
No, this is not the IMF program. This is the debt restructure, and the structure and the,
There was this economic thing, you took
the
part
debate.
in Harsha, I think. Was it discussed there?
That was a debate, no?
That was a debate.
That was the issue, no? The DSA. That is what went viral, no?
Yeah.
This is the Chamber of...
Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
It was.
I was there.
That is what went viral. That is where they said they will and I said you can't.
Yes.
But anyway, now that's history, that's gone.
Also about the central bank question.
Central bank
Central
question.
bank question.
There's the whole issue on the debt restructure is on the Thursday before the Saturday election, RW released his office, released this press
saying that
note that they had agreed on a restructure. And but AKD had said, and I think Tunse had or something like that, that they were going to try and negotiate with the creditors for 1.5 years. And then if they fail, they would then sort of go ahead with it. But I know exactly what happened in that room. Forget 1.5 years, they didn't even debate it for 5 minutes. I don't think they debated it at all. They were told, look, this is it. Then the president said, okay, that's it. And all these people, the so-called academics, were there just, taking selfies and posting on their social media pages. That was quite ridiculous.
Yeah. I think they wanted a quick win before the election. Or at least the perceived win.
No, not at all. I mean, I told the IMF with Sajid Iran and Kabir when we met them last that we had to deal with the EPF matter, right? Because there was no domestic restructure. It was imposed on us by the external creditors. So because they got whacked silly, what I said is this has something called a MLB, that is there's a macro-linked bond, which essentially means that if you do well, then the haircut becomes less. So what I argued was, if we do well, that is because our people are working harder, etc. So therefore, the haircut the EPF gave the government also will have to be reduced. There has to be some comparability of treatment. So that is what we were arguing. So the change we were expecting on this was to try and mitigate the loss to the EPF and a party of their sort of ideology should have actually stood for Labour even more than a party like us.
Right. Well, I mean, I suppose what they can achieve in the short time is limited, I suppose, with 3-member cabinet and so on. But do you see anything, any actions, policies that you see as positive for the country?
Oh, yes, of course I do. I mean, I am very happy with their sort of, the way they are dealing with corruption. I mean, look, they're doing it. Give them the credit.
Yeah.
They're doing it, and which is what we also said we would do. Because they are doing it and we didn't get elected, why should we block it? We should support them.
Right.
So, in fact, it was Iran who originally proposed the establishment of an independent prosecutor.
No?
Yeah, it's his idea, and I think it should be done. And if we get elected to office to run government, I think that would be one of the first things that we would do. But if we don't, I think we should support and we should push it, the establishment of an independent prosecutor's office, and then sort of move from there. All these cases that got thrown out because of technical comma missing here.
Yeah, they can be refiled, right? They can be refiled.
I think they are getting refiled.
They will. Okay. So what exactly are they doing? Are they removing impediments to prosecution?
I think that's what they're doing.
That's what they're doing. So no direct involvement. I mean,
So you can't get involvement, no?
Right.
I mean, this Horualla no business, you can't go and catch thieves, no? That's not your job. Your job is to ensure that there is a right, like you said, remove the impediments.
And let the system work.
Yeah.
Let the system work.
That is what is happening now.
Yeah.
Without
Which is good.
political interference.
Yeah,
I think that's,
But
Which
they'll
is-
have to do that now because that's a mandate they got.
Sure, so which is good.
How do you feel about things like reduction of perks and things like that? I mean, do you feel that that's
I've seen
performative,
it.
or will that have an impact?
No
Or is
impact.
that like leading by example when it comes to?
Nothing. It's just smoke and mirrors. What can it? What does it? I mean, I used to have a policeman. I mean, I am
that
just
is
a regular
you,
guy.
but look at the others.
No. What I'm saying is, so they remove my policeman, and the policeman is at home. So what? It doesn't bother me. But to make it really big, I mean, it's.
So you feel partly performative, is it?
Oh, but at
It
that
is,
time
it's
there
just
was,
a show.
there was definitely a security threat, no, because there was a war. So it was necessary to...
No, I'm just taking that as an example. And then they parked a bunch of, cars and SUVs outside the president's office and said, we found these abandoned and things like that. All nonsense, no? All given back.
Didn't that happen in 2015 also?
Yeah, everybody, that's, I mean, what? So
Same
you go in
thing.
the Prime Minister, I saw going in a double cab, it's tough. Why can't she be given a car? Why should she be driving? And I mean, these double cabs at the back, then right in front. At the back, it's like really,
It's very
uncomfortable.
it's uncomfortable. You
It's
can't.
in double cab, is it?
I saw her getting off a double cab.
Oh, she still goes in a double
I mean, that's
yeah.
silly, you ask me, that's just plain silly. I don't know I mean, Hari need not do that. Just ask for a car, man. What the hell? Drive around in a car.
I'm sure there are plenty of cars there already. I mean,
no. What I'm saying is these are just cheap, theatrics.
Okay.
I don't do it.
Maybe the pickups don't attract termites.
Christo. the Porsche stocks fell after the termites.
After the AI started.
So now they have also announced sort of high-profile investigations that they're going to sort of talked about the Easter. Now we saw some drama with the Easter and all of that. Is it too soon for us to be hopeful that these things will see some resolution? I mean, would we have under SJB administration would we have seen the same type of thing? Or?
Well, I mean, if the government and the opposition both support, then we can get it done. It's easier, right? I mean, so if Anura is now AKD is president, if we are in government, we will certainly do it. AKD is president. If Harini is prime minister and we are in opposition, we'll still help them do it.
You will support them.
We will fully support.
Yeah.
You can take my word.
No, because the reason I ask is some of this predates Yahapalani also.
Yeah, it's fine.
So, I mean, I think that's the argument that these guys maybe will do a better job. I mean, that was certainly about the soul to the public. I think there's a huge expectation that this will resolve.
I saw Mr. Cabral's Greek bond matter being taken up again.
Yeah, it's been taken up. Yeah.
Right? We will fully support it. Right? I mean, I can give you that honest guarantee that we will fully 100% support the president's initiative on fighting corruption. We will fully support it.
Super.
We'll fully support it.
Yeah. Because they chose a bunch of things on top of
which are close to resolve. Close to conclusion, I think.
Bomb scam, is a Sunday, kidnapping murder, two journalists.
Yeah. No, there are other things also that should come. Where is Lasanta? Where is Tajuddin?
In fact, that was a question.
Yeah, and they brought Dinesh's case, but not Lasanta's case.
Not Lasanta's case.
Why not?
Because what they said was they have more evidence, they can close it faster.
Yeah.
But Lasanta's, I watched yesterday the Tarindu's description of the Lasanta's. It's so maddening. I mean, they were planting evidence to show that it was LTT. They killed innocent people, 2 people from one name about this cycle. I don't know. But what I'm saying is, I didn't go through the whole thing. I mean, you can't believe this type of a thing.
Well, I mean, I don't think that's an isolated thing. There's a link.
No, I'm just saying, just little bit that I read.
There's a link to both the East as well as the...
No, fighting corruption is difficult. You see, I don't know how many people know, it was, I mean, I'm not trying to, say I did it, but it was my committee, under my leadership. I had the courage to say, yes, I am deciding we are going to take up the visa matter.
Yeah, that's
right. And we will release some videos. I hadn't done it all this time. Government fought with me almost physically that I didn't have the authority to take up the matter.
Right.
I said, no, I do. And then it went on for hours.
Yeah.
And they said, no, I can't take it up. No, I said, I have the authority to take it up. Yeah. And it, at one point, the argument, got out of hand, and the government members actually summoned the Secretary General to the committee. And she had to come. And I had anticipated this. So before I called these people for an examination, I sat with the Secretary General and I told her, this is a public finance matter. why did it not go through the Committee on Public Finance?
Right.
You see, what they did was they took it through the what is called a sectoral oversight committee, right? There is no Harsha de Silva in those committees, right? But I took up the position that if it was changing of any levy, it was public finance.
Come through you.
Yeah, so the issue was not the levy by itself or the visa fee.
Yeah.
The issue was how was the contract awarded to these people without any sort of transparent process.
Yeah.
And when one guy says, I can do it for $1, how can you justify giving it to another guy at $25, right? So, and because I stood firm, because I fought with them, right? A lot of people don't see this, people don't know, right? A lot of people are saying, we are fighting crime, we are fighting corruption. And at one point, I had, so much of pressure on me. I went to the house and I told the speaker, if they kill me on the road, you are responsible.
Harsha, how much of support did you get from NPP for this?
To be honest with you, zero. Because there is a member of the NPP who has to sit in the Public Finance Committee. That person didn't come to a single day of examination. It's very, very unfortunate, very sad. But I have to say it.
Yeah.
Can you say who that person is?
Vijita Hera. Right? And that's the truth. I don't fear anyone to speak the truth.
It was only the three of them in Parliament, right? So
Right?
it has to be.
So how come? How come? Right? And this was the biggest issue. I mean, these guys,
Yeah.
So I do not know. But it came to the point, and then I got, the police started issuing statements. The IGP wanted, me, investigated. They're looking.
In fact, other members of the committee,
They took a
said
privilege.
that he violated certain processes.
They said I privileged I violated their privileges, and that I can be sort of taken to task that I've committed some sort of offense that can be punished by the Supreme Court. Right? So what I'm saying is, if there is support, it is easy to fight corruption. If you're going to pull in two directions, it becomes difficult. Right?
Right. Yeah. So now they're in power. Some of these things have been taken as wins, right? Like maybe comment on a few of these. I'll just there are 4 things. Maybe you can comment on. Obviously, the visa, the matter, and the passport matter both came from the same ministry, and so on. Now, at least there's a perception that these issues have been resolved. So, how do you feel about that? Now that it's been taken as a win now.
Well, it is not yet resolved because, let's be honest, VFS is a well-known global, company.
Yeah.
And I don't want to just, drag them through the mud. The fact is, it is not VFS that signed this agreement. It's some other company. IMF
Set up in
but
Dubai.
it's a tripartite. They are also party to it.
Actually, wait. What I don't know. I went through the whole thing. The VFS was not there in the original agreement. Then the Attorney General objected to it, and the Attorney General said, "No, you have to add them." VFS was added later as a technical partner. So the prime contractor is not VFS, it's IVS-GBS. Right? VFS is, you are correct, it's a tripartite now, and they are also responsible for various things, but certainly not money.
Money goes to the main.
Money goes somewhere else.
And they hold it for 1 week before the remit, even our portion, right?
Yeah. All of that. I mean, they said they were going to invest 200 million US dollars.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's not get stuck there. But
so they've also
Why
made a
do you
decision.
say
so why I'm saying it's not resolved is because we need a proper system. I do not know whether the current service provider can do it. I don't know, right? What you need is my analyst did this thing is you need sort of when you write software, you need to give them a specification. This is your specification, but they didn't do it. Whoever requests for a bid must give bid for this particular spec. So that particular spec has not still been given. So what I am saying is, do the spec, write it out, open it out to a global competitive tender.
Right.
If the current service provider wins that, let them do it. If some other person wins it, let them do it. But I am not saying just because those guys did it, I don't know how those guys got it in the first place.
You're basically saying make it transparent.
Make it transparent. And also make sure that whoever is willing to or whoever bids to provide that service, they are able to actually deliver.
And they have some credibility.
Yeah.
Sure.
Then the Sri Lankan Airlines decision, because initially they were saying government didn't have any business running, airlines and businesses and so on. But now I think the decision is either restructure or sale, but now it looks like they want to run the airline, right? I mean,
It's a stupid decision if you ask me. Sorry for have used that word. I mean, come on. You want to. I mean, don't link it with tourism. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Because if there is demand for tourists to come to Sri Lanka, there will be enough aircraft, enough airlines wanting to bring people in.
Yeah, true.
Like, you don't have to be the owner of the particular aircraft that bring 300 tourists in, as long as the tourists come here.
True.
Yeah. Why you think India can't afford an airline? Of course it can. But they sold both Air India and Indian Airlines. Now Tatas have ordered 500 aircraft from Airbus. Indigo has ordered 550. So 1,050.
Market stepped in.
Sorry?
Market stepped in.
Absolutely.
The government steps out. Yeah.
And those dilapidated, I don't know if anybody ever, voluntarily flew those airlines. I mean, a lot of people talk about Singapore Airlines. That Singapore Airlines was or is majority held by, or people think it is majority held by Temasek. It is not true. Temasek actually got sold out their majority share. They only have 22% of Singapore Airlines now.
Okay.
Right? So that whole model has changed. I mean, if somebody is going to tell me the person who runs Temasek is actually has a Sri Lankan connection, no?
Okay.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. CEO, Google the guy, right? And that they don't know what they're doing, I won't buy that.
Right.
So they know what they're doing, right? And go around the world. I mean, let private enterprise run this. I mean, can we bring in 50? Can we add 50 aircraft to our fleet?
No.
Who is going to be able to do it? Can the government do it?
Government can't finance that.
So government cannot spend a single cent on Sri Lankan Airlines until this IMF agreement is in force. Because it cannot put money into loss-making enterprises. I mean, you cannot say Sri Lankan Airlines made an operational profit when you are running 1.2 billion debt that is not being paid.
Right.
You see? So, this is just, what I think. This is the clash between the red and the pink. I mean, people who sort of we see, we can sort of say, look, she's a nice person, he's a nice guy. I see them at, social, we say them, yeah.
We're comfortable with them.
Colombo, middle class guy, very comfortable with them. But I don't think they have any political power. And the real power comes from the red. The red, you don't know, you haven't seen them, right? And if even AKD said, hey, what business does the government have running an airline? Then how come this change in sudden 180-degree turn?
Yeah.
Who's calling the shots?
He said that.
Huh?
Yeah, he has said it.
He said it.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, people have sat at GGY and said airline should be shut down.
Yeah.
Shut down.
Yes.
Rather, if you don't want to run, we'd rather shut it down than run it. So
this is where the red and pink is going to clash. And I don't think he'll mind if I mention his name, but better not. A very senior person in government met with that person's minister on a Thursday, and the minister said, please go ahead, do what you're doing, we are happy with what you're doing. Then the the prime minister in this case, and on Friday this person was conducting a workshop, and there were foreign dignitaries who had come from the US, etc. And at 10:30, while this person was, in the middle of the presentation, he got a call from a junior civil servant, and he was asked to basically stop what he was doing and go home. And he said, no, I think you're making a mistake, because I spoke to the minister and she said, look, please continue. And the person said, no, please stop what you're doing and go. Then he said, I'm in the middle of a presentation. He got apparently annoyed, and he said, I'm not going, because I'm speaking. There are people here. How can I get up and go? And he was given time till 1:30 to pack his bags and get out, which he did. He wrote a letter of resignation and he left. He told this to me personally. I can't mention the name because it would not be the right thing for me to do. But this is the red, and that is the pink.
okay, so you feel there's some internal sort of...
No, there is going to be an implosion. It will happen. And I'm telling you it's going to happen. Right? I mean, okay, now they are saying, okay, let's say Hilton. Now they don't want to sell the Hilton either. What is the government going to run the Hilton? For what?
But for both of those, Sri Lanka and Hilton, are they sort of viable sort of buyers, or...
They're the buyers.
What he's saying is
It's the ideology itself, no. Yeah. I mean, if the price is not right, re-advertise it. Do it in 3 months' time. Do it in 6 months' time. Do it in a year's time.
Right.
But this is not that. This is just complete reversal. Okay, let's take their first cabinet decisions. They first said the Norelia post office. I don't know what you guys think about it. But my thinking is, we blame Gota for many things. But how dilapidated was the race course? How dilapidated was the Dutch hospital? Right? Same with the arcade. Look at them now. Those historical buildings have been, in my view, restored and maintained. And today post offices are post offices are going to be extinct. I don't know, there are, big hoteliers here, you all might know in Norelia what room, one can sell a room, but, I'm sure you could have fetched a reasonable tariff, and perhaps you could have had one section as a post office. It would have been kind of cool. to have a post office inside a boutique hotel.
Yeah.
And you could have made, I don't know how much, $200-300 at the least, or maybe $400-500 perhaps a night, and then you could have built a brand new post office. So, I'm talking about this whole red ideology, which is going to take over, to gobble up the pink ideology, because the pink really doesn't have an ideology. There is no real political thinking. They are a bunch of loose organizations that came together. There is no strong, like I said, I'm repeating myself, political ideology.
Yeah. You want to say something?
No, about that, the post office.
Yeah.
I think Harsha, it was more like optics, no? We all saw Ranil Wickremesinghe with that, you hand it over to me, that type of thing. While he's having a presidential mansion there, which is far bigger, which is far more suitable for tourism. So, I mean, that's how it looked.
You can't sell the president's house to the, I'm not going to sell the president's house to some hotel. I won't do that. I mean, those are state mansions that need to stay with the people. I'm not going to sell. I don't think you should sell the president's house. Why are you going to sell the president's house? Let it be. I mean, that guy, Mahinda, went and built a massive monstrosity in Jaffna. I mean, that is not a president's house. I mean, I've seen that. That's crazy. You don't need one like that.
Right.
What I'm saying is, these old historic buildings, I differ. Okay. This is a country. Those guys are now saying, they don't get paid. Right? Their salary goes to the party. And the party gives them, clothes to wear or whatever, I don't know. Money to buy groceries, I don't know. Or some car to be driven around, or drive around, I don't know.
Right.
Is that what we want? Not me, certainly.
Yeah.
I want to work hard and make my own money. And I want to spend my money on what I want to spend money on. I cannot be told by the Politburo, this is what you get, this is what you will spend on, this is what you will dress. Certainly not.
Right. Okay. So moving on from that, on the international front, there's a pivot towards BRICS. How do you view that particular thing? There's a sort of realignment of foreign policy. BRICS membership and all of that. How do you feel about that?
I'm skeptical. We are not India, okay? We are not Saudi Arabia. We need to be multi-aligned. Non-aligned is nonsense. There's nothing called non-aligned.
Yeah.
We got to be multi-aligned. We got to know, how bread is buttered.
Yeah.
We need not think, we are so, powerful, we can do what we want. If you think like that, you're going to get caught up in situations where you wish you never said anything. We are a vulnerable nation. Let us not, let's play it safe. Let's play it safe. You don't want to take sides and get one set of countries annoyed. For what?
Yeah. People are saying that the Arugamba issue and all of that could be as a result of the UN vote and so on. So I think that's again, when you pick sides, there are consequences. Right?
I used to work under Mangalano. I was the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of this country for about a year and a half. And what I learned when I was in Geneva, we were fighting the UNHRC matter, 30/1. Rhetoric is one. International politics is something else. And I'm saying this because Mangala let me, Mangala was a great guy who would he would let me do things, let me also learn. And I learned a lot. When we fought the GSP matter in Brussels, it is how you sort of talk to these guys and make sure that it is not, it's politics, it's real politics.
Diplomacy.
Diplomacy, how do you manage this? When in 2015 when Sirisena won, well, if Sirisena didn't win, they would have put sanctions on us. By 2015 middle, people have forgotten that. Because Sirisena won, because Mangala went and did 30/1 in Geneva, we were able to avoid it. Right? So when you sort of approach international matters with absolutely, I'm sorry to say this, very little understanding, you're going to get things mucked up.
Right. Yeah. So you're skeptical about this pivot towards sort of Russia, China, and so on. So
Yes, I'm skeptical.
on that. Okay. So moving back to a domestic matter, we'll try to. We kept you quite a bit already. You've spoken about this. We've just heard that the president said he's going to rule out rice imports, and you have spoken extensively about the rice mafia and so on. Do you feel like we will have enough supply without imports? And what is the sustainable solution for this? Because
we have enough rice. We have enough paddy. I think about maybe slightly under 3 million metric tons in the Maha, and probably 1.5 million metric tons in the Yala, which is sufficient for local consumption. Right. It has nothing to do with the amount of paddy that got harvested. It's everything to do about how much paddy gets converted to rice. That's the issue.
That is what he was spearing, if I may, what you were trying to do through the Shakti rice program.
Correct. Right? You saw Mr. Sirisena come out openly and attack me mercilessly yesterday. That he will do everything to remove me from being in politics. He will destroy my political career, he said.
Who, Maitrapal?
That is
the brother.
yeah, the brother.
Rice
They're the ones who
Arya.
Arali.
He actually said that.
He said that. I have missed.
That was, he said
Why did he say that?
That was the main news yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday or day before.
Yeah. Day before.
What you're doing was a threat. But why now? Why a threat now?
No, because right now, what is happening is that the paddy is being stored and not released, because now there is no paddy for farmers to sell, because this is not harvesting season. The next harvesting season will come, they'll start harvesting probably, end Jan, early Feb, right? The first harvesting will happen then. So what generally happens is from about middle of October to about the middle of January, you need to rely on what is in stock, right? So if the stock is not getting released, then obviously there is no paddy to mill. So if there's no paddy to mill, there's no rice to eat. So why the supermarket up the street or GGY supermarket, why it says, you can only purchase so much is because,
So they're hoarding it to push the price up?
This has always been happening.
This always happened.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Not the supermarket.
No, I know.
The oligopoly.
Yeah, there should be enough. Looking at the price of rice, there should be enough in the supply, in the value chain for the farmers to make some money.
Correct me.
Farmers are impoverished.
I think this was during Yapan, if I remember is correct. The Minister of Agriculture was Maitrapal Sirisena. His brother Dudley has the highest, earlier. The next guy was, who had the other brand. The other guy.
Nipuna something.
Yes, correct?
Correct.
So he was Deputy Minister of Agriculture.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Correct? Huh?
So I mean, so right now, you see, no, these guys who are screaming are not saying a word. Only I am saying, and because I am saying, my head is getting chopped off because only my head can be seen. So the biggest rice oligopolist is threatening me on national television, openly in the news, that he will destroy my political career. I mean, I think people watching this must really take this to heart. Why is a big businessman threatening to remove me from politics? What have I done to him? Nothing. I mean, I've always stood with the people, you see. And standing with the people, for the people, obviously is a problem for some people.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it is a visa matter, right? Whether it is now the current rice matter.
Yeah, I think what you did, you were asking why.
Yeah, why now?
No, because Harsha spoke about breaking the mafia, right? Like you need
Now, recently?
Yes, right now it's happening now.
No,
Right.
did you speak about it?
Yes.
After this government too?
Yes, I am the only guy who's been speaking.
Okay.
So I spoke about it yesterday, I spoke about it day before yesterday, I spoke about it last week.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, because you've been constantly talking about it. It's become a threat to them. Okay, so leaving all that, coming back to the SJB and politics and so on. You presented an economic roadmap, and I think they marketed the team as what the SJB carries into the last election. We see a little bit less of that, and actually even at that debate, you had the most sort of mature vision for the economy. Let's put it that way, and I think nobody will sort of argue with the fact that you were the clear winner in that particular debate. But it didn't resonate for some reason, because people focus on corruption and various other things. Now, if there is no path for the SJB to form the government, you would have to look at being the strongest opposition possible. Is that how you're looking at going into this election?
Yeah.
Would that be something that you would commit to, like making sure that you're the strongest opposition?
Well, if we can't win, of course. I mean, we are trying to win, right? You don't go to battle to lose. And we really want people to see that we are a credible alternate, to the NPP in this case, to form a government. And all depends on how people view that. Right. I mean, last time Gota got 52%, and he ended up with about 140 odd seats. Yeah. But AKD's only got 42%. Right? So that's a whole lot less than what Gota got.
Yeah.
And so even if you look at this election, the presidential, the opposition obviously got more than the government, or rather AKD in this case. So, and like I said, I give credit to them on their sort of anti-corruption fight. I give credit to them. I think they're doing a good job, and I, as an individual, I will get my party to support the president on that. But on the economy, I have absolutely no faith. And that's a strong statement for me to make. I have no faith. It is because what they are doing is not what they believe in. That's the reason.
Yeah. So ideology and rhetoric versus action so far doesn't match up?
I mean, you will enjoy doing something if you love doing it, if it makes sense to you, if it gives you satisfaction.
And if you believe in it.
If you believe in it.
Right.
Like if you're forced to do something which is completely against your believes.
Ideology.
Against your ideology, right? I mean, GGY you guys are doing, and I don't think anyone sustained this long. And I always wonder, what drives you guys? This whole country wonders, what drives these guys? Why are they doing it? Week after week, it used to be day after day. But there is, you derive satisfaction from what you're doing. You're doing something good. You feel good about it, right? You're making a difference. But if you were told to do this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you'll do it for like 2 weeks and then you'll stop it, right?
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. These guys don't, you cannot continue to sustain doing something if you don't believe in it.
So you feel like the momentum will sort of wither away, or?
No, I mean, the internal conflict is going to come. The Reds absolutely are completely opposed to this.
Right.
Right? The Pinks have, said, look, we will continue RW's path. Right? And they haven't made any changes to anything. And I know that, just looking at what happened, the evidence in the run up to the last election, you see, I engaged them. And in those engagements, the country saw, where each team's sort of what their positions were, right?
Yeah.
What their capabilities certainly were, right? So this thing cannot continue like this. There is going to be an implosion because ideas are going to clash. Because you cannot continue without restructuring the SOEs. IMF is not going to do that. Without that, you're not going to be able to show you're going to meet the structural benchmarks. You cannot get to the 15% GDP, tax. You cannot get to the 2.3% primary balance. So what are you going to do then? It's all very nice, you can fool a bunch of people, park a few cars, remove the cop.
So what is your closing message then to the voter ahead of the general election? Is it an economic one? I mean,
it is an economic one, because the country is not out of the woods. The economy is on a knife's edge. If you think we are all done and dusted, home safe, that is certainly not the case.
Right.
Right? This is a tough one. You see how global events are going to shape the local, how much impact it will have locally. Some bomb goes off in the Middle East and some vote gets taken in Geneva. Something else happens here. Right? We are a globally connected country. Right? And in order to get us out of this complicated economic crisis, you need really good strategies on the economy, right? And you need to be able to maneuver through unseen shocks that will, happen time to time. So in order to do that, you need a good economic team inside that parliament. You really need. So therefore, going back to our team, what the SJB proposed was a blueprint, like you said. People didn't really understand. I don't blame the people for not understanding, because it was really, what I wrote was not really meant to be understood by the people, but it was what we needed to do. Communicating it was our mistake. We were not able to pick out the main points in that and communicate in a sort of simple, easy to understand manner. Nevertheless, unless you have a strong group of people who can really understand and do what is necessary to take this country out of this economic mess, I think we will all lose.
I think for a group like us, we've been fighting from day one for sort of justice and accountability and things like that. We also recognize that you can't have a proper recovery without fixing those underlying sort of corruption vulnerabilities and accountability issues, because we've never seen anybody get prosecuted and so on. So it's easy for us to get carried away. We've seen Nama has been brought in for questioning. Johnston Fernando has been locked up. I mean, these feel like victories for the people, right? I mean,
we saw the same thing happening in 2015 also, Japan. At the start.
Okay. So I think, whilst the economic message is critical, I think that part is also, it's what brought the NPP to the place where it's at.
Correct.
So I think maybe people want to see a continuation of that. But obviously, we need people with integrity and good faith and knowledge and things like that in Parliament. And we've always said, we need people like you. You in Parliament, you never sort of shied away from saying that.
Just like you said, what keeps us going. Yeah. Sometimes we wonder when you see your rest of your mates,
what keeps you,
the rest of the 225, maybe at least definitely 200. When you see them, you wonder what keeps you going.
No. So I tell people when you ask me that question, I mean, you imagine the Parliament without Harsha de Silva. It's easy, You think Parliament means there are other 225, but no Harsha de Silva. That's fine. That's up to the people, right? Because I am not here, because whether I am in Parliament or not, it doesn't matter to me.
Right.
Because yes, I'll sulk for like 2 weeks. We'll go to the bailiff and have a couple of single malts. We'll be fine, right?
Come and join us.
We all have to join, but we don't have to, right?
But I'm saying is, it's only when you lose someone you'll really understand the value of that person. So people take me for granted. I don't want to be taken for granted.
Absolutely.
Right? I'm not here to, serve people's needs, and not be appreciated. I'm quite honest. If you want to vote for me, do. If you don't, I don't care, If it's your loss, not mine.
I think for the first time in our lifetime, we are going to see a very different Parliament. We are going to see but it needs to be a mix of experience and youth and all of that, right? Like we need a certain amount of activism, all of that in there. We certainly need experience.
I'm grinning because he said no, that once you lose someone, you realize the value. And I don't think any of us here thinking of that, thinking of the same line with regard to our former president, though.
Oh. Hey, never say never.
Never say never. Yeah.
Never say never.
Yeah.
He's not saying never, he's still talking about how he's going to raise
that is what I'm saying. I know you guys don't like RW, but never say never.
Not that we don't like him per se. I think we've all voted for him at some point in our lives. It's just that his actions...
I have contributed money also.
Yeah, exactly.
Not this time. I have.
It's just that what he did with the power he got, that is what sort of went against everything that we stood for. He championed that earlier, then he kind of
until he got kicked to the power, and then he kicked the ladder.
Brought in all these laws. I think you spoke about the repealing of the online safety bill as well.
Acting president, he says we must get Scotland there. After he made president, no foreign investigation.
It's been like a double speak every
let's
he
not talk
wants to
about
come and talk again, no?
He wants to come here.
No, he wants to talk to the public again.
Invited him.
He has another statement to
No,
make.
he wants. I heard some. Yeah.
What did he want to do?
Have another appearance.
Oh, does
on
he?
TV.
Okay.
Say what, I don't know.
Right. Well, I mean that is the prepared stuff for me. Does anybody else have any questions?
Something
Here, go
to
on.
say. I mean, I may be right, I may be wrong, but it's just I look at everything. I mean, I spend my time looking at all the YouTubes, what everybody says. I sleep at 2 or 3 in the morning. That's my life. At the moment, analyzing everything. What I hear is, where the SJB is concerned, that you all don't have a national cause, your narrative, national issue to go to tell the people. But Ranil, even by mistake, he said he had revived the economy. Whether it's correct or mistake, I don't know.
Stability.
SJB, NPP had a narrative because change the political culture in normal terms. They said we are going to eradicate corruption. That's a national cause. But what did SJB have as a national cause?
Yeah, so you mean in the presidential or are you going
I'm talking about the presidential and your election campaign. It comes to your general election also.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's unfortunate that, our communications may have failed us in getting the message across, because there was a clear agenda, right? That we had actually 2 things. One was, bringing transparency, fighting corruption, right? And the second thing was what we call a social market economy. So we had two real pillars upon which we went to the people, but perhaps that didn't get communicated in the way that people expected.
Will see a national cause thing, and unless you do come up with something, you will be number 2 throughout.
No, I mean, that is...
I'm telling you.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is, I think, a too harsh a statement to make, that we will continue to be...
Very harsh statement. I'm making that statement. No. It's for you to take it up and... Because I can't come to all these things and talk about these things.
Yeah, I mean, a political party consists of a leader and a team, and then a lot of people who rally around them, and that's how it's built. The JVP was a 3% political party.
Yeah.
Right. Now, but JVP or NPP, whatever it is that you call them, is not a 42% political party. What has happened is people, got angry. They wanted to send a message, and those people voted for the NPP. That does not mean that they became a 42% political party. These same people will vote somewhere else next time.
Definitely.
So that's what I'm saying.
We saw that with
Gota.
Yeah, so that's my point.
Yeah.
So you can...
but you also should have some for people to accept you all.
Yeah.
Now I'll ask the question, why should we vote for SJB now?
Yeah. So I mean, you should vote for the SJB because if you believe in people like us, we are the representatives. This is not a presidential election.
Yeah.
It's a parliamentary election. I am here. I'm not asking for your vote. I'm not here to do that. But what I'm saying is, if people want people like myself to represent them in parliament, then you can vote for the SJB so that you can mark across against me. But this is not...
But I'm saying, if you don't mind,
so please.
What I'm saying is, yes, everybody wants you. I want you in parliament. Maybe I may vote for you, I may not vote for you. That's a difference. So the thinking trend
No, but the general is about the individuals also.
People
the candidates
must
matter.
have a reason. Candidates matter. But what is it for them? What's the message you are taking?
Yeah, because I'm telling you that that I just said the economy is...
Yeah, but have you taken it in terms that the people could understand? And this is our narrative. It has to be a national cause.
I mean, isn't the economy a national cause? I mean, I don't understand.
But then what do we hear in meetings? It's all these buses and schools and...
No, you are being very unfair because, Sajid Premdas is not necessarily the entirety of the SJB. He's our leader. That is a different matter. But SJB is a political party. I mean, Sajid actually buses, in fact, a lot of people benefited from the buses also, right? And we didn't set fire to buses. We gave buses to people. Right? That also need to be told. Right? We didn't break up computers. We gave computers to kids.
That is true.
Right?
That is
and
true.
also we didn't burn hospitals. I gave something that we started, the suicide. We took the 2 millionth person to 2 millionth. 2 millionth person to critical care just last week Monday, or rather this week Monday. 2 millionth person, right? So it's not fair to say that we haven't done anything, that only AKD has.
No, I'm not talking about AKD doing anything. What I am saying is, what is the narrative that you have for the general public, the middle class to understand? That is, they want you, SJB there. SJB, it will be, wanting you there is a different question. Yes, we want you there in Parliament. I hear it every day. But as a party, do you have a narrative? This is what I got.
Yes, that's a fair question.
That is what I'm asking.
So the narrative that we have is we got to go beyond corruption. Corruption is a necessary condition, but it is not a sufficient condition for growth. Unless we have growth, unless we create wealth, there is no way out of the poverty in this country. Perhaps you may or you may not know that during Gota's time we more than doubled poverty. From 3 million, 7 million people are in poverty.
Yes.
So how do you grow an economy? How do you do that? It is certainly not by going to Supreme Court and saying becoming an export-oriented economy is actually in violation of the Constitution. It is not to go into the Supreme Court and arguing that giving incentives to foreign investors at the same level as local investors is a violation of the Constitution. We didn't do that. That is Sunil Haduneti and Harsha went and did that to the Supreme Court. So that ideology is not going to create wealth, right? And we want a free country. We want democracy. I saw what AKD had said. We don't need a strong opposition. What we need is to fill the entire parliament with Malimavas. Certainly that's not what this country wants. And I certainly asked, we stand for it. Of course he said that.
He said that.
Right? He said that. Right? So I am standing not just for the economy, but we are a democracy. We are a democracy. And we need to have a strong government. We need to have a strong opposition. Well, there's
that
no point. No. Wait, let me say. You ask me, or let me answer. Right. So therefore, beyond corruption, there is a word beyond corruption. Right. So fighting. I told you that I am going to put both my hands up to support AKD to fight corruption. Did I not say that?
Yeah.
I said that, right? And I said not only me, my party will do that. Did I not say that?
You did,
I said that, right? So please, the SJB. If we are elected to office, we will support the president to the absolute maximum to fight corruption. We don't have anyone to protect. We won't. Right? We won't. Right? We have none to protect. We won't. You can have my word on it. Right? And then going beyond, and I said, is to fix this economy. You cannot fix this economy unless you align ourselves with the world. Unless you build bridges to the rest of the global marketplace, unless you get into free trade agreements with other countries, unless you are able to bring in investors.
I understand what you're saying, but can you
I think it's like this.
What I'm saying
because
is
we had like an hour-long conversation. I think because Harsha articulated certain things. We also need to have the mindset to receive that message. I think if you're not in the mindset to receive the message, we're not going to hear it, right?
I'm telling is to how are they going to win the election. To go to the people to get you must have a national cause. What you're saying is perfect, excellent. That is what we need beyond corruption. But put that into a different way. People can understand.
No. If people don't understand that you need to
when
fix
I say
this,
people means middle class people.
No, our people are not stupid. Our people are quite intelligent. And it is not that people didn't understand. My thing is, it's not that they didn't understand. They understood. But they said fighting corruption was more important. Did I say that? I said that. I said that they thought we can fix the economy later. First, let's fight corruption. So now we are fighting corruption now. So now it is late.
Happen in parallel. No?
Yeah.
Now what I'm saying is you have the guy to fight corruption.
Yeah.
Now you have to fix the economy. And I'm saying they can't fix the economy. They will fight corruption.
That's
agreed. I mean, I'm not personally not looking at the economy as such now, but get rid of this, when I say corruption, corrupted people, or when I say 75 years, it is not that nothing was done, get rid of this corrupt system, then clean up. Then everybody can come in. I mean,
I see. There's a huge amount of lies that was, spread during this campaign. I'll tell you one big lie. We have 8 trillion rupees worth of debt, and we have 2 trillion rupees worth of assets. 6 trillion has been robbed. I told Harini is a dear friend, right? I told Harini, this is not how you need to look at it. I said to her, you borrow, let's say $100, let's say you borrow $1 million to build a road. Now that loan remains in the books of the treasury. The road is built. Let's say they robbed some amount, that's another matter. Let's say they didn't rob.
That is, okay.
Let's suppose, hypothetically, let's suppose they didn't, but they robbed some amount. Now there is a road. That road is an asset of the RDA. Okay. So somebody looks at the book and says, hey, you borrowed $1 million, but there's nothing to show. The $1 million has been robbed, it's taken to Uganda. Right? But the fact is not that. Fact is there is no asset registry. I asked the treasury, how long do you take to build this asset registry so you can actually put the asset and the liability together? They said it will take 10 years because there's so much to do. Do you know, not even the Mahavali is the asset registry of the Mahavali doesn't exist. That we are not counting Victoria, Rantame, Rantanikala. It used to be in the Mahavali authority, it's not there. Not that they don't exist, they do exist, right? So if you want to create a narrative and tell people that 6 trillion rupees got, went missing, that is not true. It's certainly not true. And another thing is, you borrowed that million, let's say 2-3 years ago. How much was the dollar? 150.
Revaluation based on
how much is it now? It's 300.
Interest also has gone up.
Yeah. So it's 300, right?
There's a certain amount of discounting we need to do.
But this value remains the same, the book value. So, if you want to mislead the people, I am not saying people didn't rob. I know people robbed. That is why I have been fighting corruption. Right? Now, but it is incorrect to say for 75 years everybody robbed.
Yeah.
For 75.
Can I answer this? Because we're asking for a shift in the political culture, systems, and all of that. What you're saying is simplify the message to the lowest common denominator, right? So if the message is complicated, maybe you can't do that. Maybe people need to be able to, to be able to understand the message that's coming to them, right? Because it's this lowest common denominator messaging that is what got Gota into power, right? Now the last 2 elections were swing elections, and the SJB was still the biggest party in both swing elections, right? Biggest single party in swing election. So the base is there. I mean, to your point, maybe some of the messaging is too wonky, right?
Maybe,
for policy wonks and so on. And then
people must understand.
And then remember the biggest gallery players in the SJB are gone, right? Harin's out. Maybe your substitutions didn't quite work with Sujeev and so on coming in. So there's a certain amount of introspection that the SJB certainly needs to do. But this lowest common denominator politics, we need to come out of that, actually. People need to be thinking of politics in a more intelligent way. You know?
I think
so,
people do now.
Well,
People have
we
changed.
hope, well, let's see. I mean, it's that we need the political culture
Yeah,
to
we
change,
will
right?
have a good test
We want the
this time
parties to
and-
change, but we need the people to change at the same time too, right? Shall we kind of like
That was a good one. That was a good one.
We have taken a lot of your
Good
time.
volley.
Thank you so much.
That was a good volley, I said.
Good volley.
Thank you for
Yeah.
that.
But thank you so much for your time. I know
Thanks,
you're
Ravinder,
on a very
thanks.
tight and tough schedule.
Yeah,
You've got
I am.
I hope
quite
this
a
is the
task
last
ahead of
event
you.
for today.
Yeah, it is. Otherwise, I would not be able to stay.
Right. So, Harsha, so thank you very much. I think the closing message, I think we've all heard.
Yeah.
In terms of what you need to say, it's
Yeah.
pretty loud and clear. We have Rai coming next week, I think. So let's see what she
She's
has to
coming
say.
next week. We'll have a lot of questions.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think certainly stuff that you brought up, we need to ask her, right? About bringing up the things that you mentioned, especially certainly the clash inside. If there is a clash, they need to answer to that. Who is the real sort of power behind the MPP, the red or the pink?
Most probably, I mean, some of them.
She's red. She's not pink. Rai is red. She's JVP.
She's JVP.
She's JVP. But so we usually end the session with a quote that Lisha
And actually,
finds.
it's very appropriate.
Yeah.
A stable democracy needs a strong government, but no less importantly, also strong opposition. Without the latter, the road to corruption is wide open.
There you go.
Exactly what you.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, you need checks and balances.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Thank you for
you.
Don't worry.
finding the
We'll
time
be
to
there
come.
with the phones, don't worry. That has not stopped.
No. So.
But you better go to sleep a little earlier than 3
Right.
o'clock.
Yes, actually, just one point. Now, Ekidi had made a statement saying, "I will relinquish power once the country has been developed," or something like that. He had made Ekidi, and I tweeted today saying, like, but listen, no. I said, look, key election promise was abolishing the presidency. It had nothing to do with accomplishing
But he
it.
didn't say when.
That was the worrying.
That's boring.
That was the worrying.
That is very boring.
He didn't say when.
No.
Because I will tell you when.
Yeah.
They're thinking of.
Yeah, very clear they were. That
No, but that is something we.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
we
you
will, I mean,
asked.
after the general, we will certainly be holding
I
both
have
the
a big
parties
question
accountable
to ask, maybe
for the
somebody who
election
knows
promises.
about changing the constitution.
Yeah.
Lot of question marks on that.
Yeah.
To me, maybe not
No,
now.
but well, first of all, you need a 2/3.
Yeah.
Whether one party gets it or works with
No,
the
they will
opposition
never
to
get
get that
2/3.
2/3, that's
Yeah.
fine. So let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
Harsha, thank you so much. We
All
really
the best.
appreciate your time. You've been very generous. And all the very best.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thanks.
it's going to be an interesting election.
Very
And
interesting.
also
Yeah.
just to remind people that on the 3rd and the 10th of November, we will be on our street
On the street corner back again.
reminding people what kind of individuals that they need to,
Yeah.
what they need to
for.
take into
Yeah.
consideration when they are making their selection.
And we are certainly saying vote by elimination. I mean, like eliminate the worst of the worst. So gas cylinder
We hope to have
has to be
a cleaner parliament.
swept out of the scene completely.
Yeah.
Because gas cylinder has become a bit of a hodgepodge now. No, there's so many people from all the different parties, so it's been interesting. Right.
And all the gas has left the cylinder.
Gas is gone. Gas is gone.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you so much, Harsha. All the very best to you.
Yes.
Thank you guys for being here. Anu CK, thanks again for putting this up for us. And that's a wrap from us on day 314.
14.
Good.